of everyone listening to us right now, cannot function for 24 hours without cobalt. Roughly 3/4 of the world's supply comes from the Congo, and it's mined in conditions that are like the colonial times, where the people of Africa are reduced to brute labor. Their lives are not valued, their labor is not valued, their humanity is not valued, and that's the reality that exists at the bottom of cobalt supply chains. Consumer-facing tech and EV companies will have you believe that all of their cobalt supply in their batteries for their gadgets and cars comes only from these industrial mines. Industrial means what it sounds like. Heavy machinery, excavators digging and gouging at the earth. What's happened there is not sustainable at all in terms of industrial activity. Millions of trees clear-cut, massive destruction and contamination of the environment. Now, alongside that, and the reality is, inside of these industrial operations, there are hundreds of thousands of people, including tens of thousands of children, who dig by hand. Now, the quaint term given to them is artisanal mining, and that makes you think that they're walking around baking bread or doing work in pleasing conditions, but nothing could be further from the truth. Artisanal mining means these tens of thousands of children, hundreds of thousands of people, scrounging at the ground with pickaxes, shovels, stretches of rebar, or their bare hands to pull cobalt out of the ground and feed it up the chain. Many of these people are digging inside industrial mines, and outside of the Congo, tech and EV companies will have you believe that that does not happen, but the truth on the ground is very different. They also dig all around the countryside because cobalt is everywhere. There are more reserves of cobalt in that part of the Congo than the rest of the planet combined. So the local population has been displaced by enormous mining operations. The biggest one in that part of the Congo is the size of London, where I'm sitting right now. So imagine a London-sized swath of countryside that's been completely gouged, destroyed, clear-cut, and contaminated in this scramble to get cobalt out of the ground and up the chain. And imagine the hundreds of thousands of people who used to live in that territory, forcibly displaced, now without home, without a way to live, and all they can do is scramble back into that ground, try to dig some cobalt out of the earth, and feed it up the chain for $1 or $2 a day.
When I wake up every morning, I feel terrible knowing I have to come back here again.
When I'm working here, I'm suffering. My mother, she's already dead, and I have to work all day, and my head hurts me.
If I am lucky, I make some money, and I buy food for the kids. But if I don't, they go to sleep hungry. We collect dirt. The kids help by packing it up and washing it. They also sort through it, looking for minerals. It's not a good life for children. We just don't have any other options.
And these are the big names we're all familiar with: Apple, Tesla, Google, Microsoft, Samsung. I mean, you can go down the list. They all buy some, most, or all of their cobalt from the Congo because there's no other cobalt to buy, quite frankly. But the truth that the Congolese people have to share is completely different. They are at the bottom of this supply chain with no alternative but to eke out this base, scrounging, hazardous, miserable existence for $1 or $2 a day, feeding cobalt up the chain to these behemoth tech and EV companies. These people have been displaced and pushed to a cliff's edge. If they want to eat, they have to put their lives at risk to dig cobalt out of the ground, and it's part of the scramble. Well, if you have hundreds of thousands of grindingly poor people there digging it out of the ground, it's a penny-wage way of boosting production to try and meet demand. And your listeners and viewers should understand, cobalt is toxic. It's toxic to touch, it's toxic to breathe. So I have seen thousands of women with babies strapped to their backs inhaling toxic cobalt dust day in and day out, 10-year-old children caked in toxic filth, exposing themselves to toxic cobalt, and the ore that these children are digging that has cobalt in it often has traces of radioactive uranium. So the public health catastrophe, on top of the human rights violence, on top of the environmental destruction, is unlike anything we've ever seen in the modern context, and the fact that it is linked to companies worth trillions and that our lives depend on this enormous violence has to be dealt with.
Hi, I welcome you to Jesus Christ Production. I just wanted to add to what you have just seen, that what you saw was basically an excerpt. What I've seen, what is happening in the Congo, and I just wanted to, from my side, from the standpoint of Jesus Christ Production, to let you all know that I love the Congo, and it really hurts me what is happening to the people there. It's like what you've seen explains everything. I don't need to add something to it. I just wanted to say that I love the Congo. I love Congolese people. I love all of them. I've never had a problem with any one of them. Always Congolese friends I had in the past, I have now. All of them have always been nice to me. Always been nice. Always been friendly to me. Never witnessed anything negative about them. So I want to say, like, by getting to know people from the Congo, I came to love that country even more, because they represented their country so wonderful, so beautiful. And also, finally, I wanted to say that, this cannot go on, because there's so much injustice in this world happening, and there's so much injustice in this world happening. It's very sad, and it cannot continue like that. This is about the cell phones. It's like, just imagine you and I, or let's say in these societies that we're living in, people make offers to you where, like, you get new cell phones and newer cell phones and newer cell phones, extra cell phones, if you make this new contract, and so on and so on. And it's not right, because actually, there are people, men, women, children, working there in the mines every day, and they are starving, and they are really actually, if you compare what they're doing, it's like slavery. It's like what they call modern day slavery. It's not right. It needs to stop. All these corporations that we have nowadays, could you imagine that you would have a corporation, you would own, for example, let's name them Microsoft or Apple or Google, or so, whatever they call it. You own them, and you know that part of the resources you get are coming from a country that is not stable, and where they exploit people like that. It's not right. And this chain has to stop, has to make a break. Like, I cannot say, oh, I bought a new cell phone, I'm happy, but I totally forget where it's coming from. It's like, Congo is the most richest country, for me, I personally believe, on this entire earth. They have everything. Also in Africa, I personally think that Congo has everything. They have everything in Africa, and they are not like, and what I want to express is that although they have everything, they are blessed in abundance. Look what the people who live there get. It's like, it shouldn't be like that. This is Jesus Christ Production, and this is a contribution to what is happening in the Congo, as a sign to say, Jesus Christ Production, Jesus is with you people in the Congo. I know it sounds like saying this word, like Jesus is with you, might sound like mouth preaching, but it's not meant like that. No. God is the God of justice, and He's always on the side of the oppressed people. And you and I, we don't know what is really going on in the spiritual realm. So you don't know. We probably don't know how much God cares for people who live in Congo. So I say this, and maybe God cares so much that He even put it in my heart to make this video. So we cannot just say God doesn't care. He cares for real. He cares for real. So this is for the people in Congo, and just also for you to know how Jesus Christ production, how its standpoint is on the situation in the Congo.